So, I did not like The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but it wasn't an over 2.5 hours long slugfest. But the concept is very cool, so I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna set some rules though, because if I don't, it's gonna become absolutely unrecognizable. 1. We're keeping the cast as is. So me not liking Brad Pitt's acting is gonna continue being simply a me problem.
2.
Set in the, physical, actual world, so no supernatural stuff aside from the old baby. 3. Has to be around the same runtime, so just re-editing the movie into a tight 1 hour and 40 minutes and gonna cut it. 4. I'm gonna keep the story close to the original. And I think that's enough rules. I already have my work cut out for me. But first, we're gonna very briefly go over the original movie, so, spoilers. There's this guy, and he's a raising baby. He grows young instead of growing old. He has this childhood crush, then he goes to sea, then he has an affair with Tilda Swinton, meets his childhood crush again. She's a ballet dancer, they have a thing. She gets hit by a car and can't dance anymore. They get together, she gets pregnant. He dips because, you deserve to live a normal life and I'm not normal. Then years go by and he's suffering from dementia and then he dies. All of these being told by this woman on the brink of death to her daughter. And guess what? The woman is Cate Blanchett and the daughter is Benjamin Button's. The end. This stretched out in 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah. There really aren't interesting ideas about life whatsoever, philosophical discussions. It's straight up just his life. There's nothing more to it. The movie isn't even pretty to look at. So here's the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get rid of all the old woman hospital scenes and hope that I save enough money to get a good makeup artist. In my opinion, those scenes don't really add anything and the old woman's voice annoys me, so goodbye. I guess a case could be made that the makeup would hinder the acting, but dude, we're stuck with Brad Pitt. It won't make a difference. Trust me. Moving on, as much as I'd like to have a The Thing-esque animatronic elderly baby, we're gonna keep it as is. We need the elderly baby because that's the draw of the movie, but we can't make it too scary. I'm gonna keep the story as is, with Queenie adopting the elderly baby, and here we have to discuss the logic of Benjamin Button. It seems that his whole body ages in reverse, except his brain. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. I guess for this early section of his life, I'm gonna want him having countless brushes with death, to the point that Queenie is exhausted but not surprised. And I wanted to feel beautiful and cold, like when you get sick and it's a beautiful day outside. Benjamin bottles his emotions up. He feels like a burden and doesn't want to cause any more trouble with his frustration. And here we have long-term effects of his childhood. In the movie, he feels like a regular, adjusted citizen. Dude, he grew up elderly. He wouldn't be normal. Literally, the whole thing about this movie is the guy aging backwards, and then you don't explore the psychological effects of that happening. Anyways, in my opinion, he would end up being young at heart, but not really in a healthy way. Not really in the fairy tales can come true. They could happen to you. More in the toxic way. He's not aware of it. Toxic, He's always subconsciously trying to experience the childhood he never had. I also think that he would have trouble compromising because he grew up so restricted on what he could do. Now that he sees his options and possibilities broadening more and more, he'd have issues with someone getting in the way of his freedom. Anyways, moving on. He goes out to sea just the same, but now it's gonna look beautiful. I guess my flex tape for this movie is make it artsy. But like, yeah, just make it pretty. The vibes. Also make the fling with Tilda Swinton be actually interesting. Almost like a supernatural encounter right in the middle of this very grounded, normal movie. Of course, it's not gonna be actually supernatural, or is it? But you know, it has to feel like that. Well, the ship sinks, he goes back home, and it's clear that he has mixed feelings about coming back to the old nursing home. He does love Queenie as a mother, but at the same time, that's the place where he was trapped in for so long. And that's when he meets Kate Blanchett again. Which, like, they have zero chemistry, but like, as per my self-imposed rules, we're stuck with these two, so yeah. They get into this on and off romance that works well for both of them. She's busy with her dancing career, he's going on adventures. And I don't know, maybe we can put Benjamin on a motorcycle and make him go on Douglas Copeland-esque adventures. Something like Stand By Me, or Little Miss Sunshine, or Night in the Woods, I don't know. Like when a stranger becomes your best friend for 8 hours or a week. We'll give Benjamin a friend then. A friend that one day just disappears as they were always destined to do. This is also gonna feel supernatural, but like, it's not. But it feels that way. Because it's like the friend just disappeared in a puff of smoke, like he was a fairy creature. And like, by the way, spoilers for Night in the Woods, I think. But I want something, yes, that feels like Night in the Woods in general. But I don't know why, but I'm so drawn to that germ hangout where you go to a parking lot and he's like, oh, one day nature is gonna reclaim all of this and blah 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 blah. I don't know, I want something like that. A while later, Kate Blanchett has her accident while Benjamin is off on his motorcycle. While bedbound and alone and having to come to terms with the fact that her career as a professional dancer is pretty much over, she turns to another set of shining moments in her mind. Her moments with Benjamin Button. She gets kind of fixated on him as he is an easy comfort in her position. A few months later, she's back in her hometown and Benji is back too, and they reconnect. They can maybe go on adventures together, but this time like the train rides from Spirited Away. And she gets pregnant and they sort of settle down. She gets the idea to become a dance teacher, etc. But hey, remember what I told you about this guy's personality? Yeah, he knows that leaving Kate Blanchett pregnant would be a dick move, but his brain is like, dude, we just started living without any joint pain and now you want to settle down? So he spins the tale about wanting her to have a normal life. He's just trying to fool himself. And she's like, bro, what? No one's normal. Everyone has problems in a relationship. I've known you since we were kids. You think I didn't know what I was getting myself into? In my mind, she confronts him and he admits that he's just scared to settle down and lose his freedom. And he stays. I know that it's less dramatic, but in the movie it honestly feels like he left because the script told him to. It just didn't make any sense. So we get, I don't know, a montage of them growing old with Brad Pitt reading that one poem by Julian Nicole Camp. He loves history. He wanted to write a biography of John Quincy Adams. I shamefully knew almost nothing about John Quincy Adams, so I went online and bought every biography of him I could find. One day he called me, claiming that we wouldn't work out long term. He said he loved me, but that we had different interests. "What does love mean to you?" I said. "That's an impossible question," he replied. I, however, find love to be quite simple. Love is the stack of biographies on my nightstand with a bookmark near the end. I love this poem so much. It's like love is work, love is effort, love is meeting in the middle. And maybe we can get people in the hospital thinking that he's her son, or her having health issues and him helping her out and trying to not get triggered because of his own experiences, maybe something like that. And now we near the end. And you know what we absolutely must have? A horrific adult-sized child thing. I mean, he was an elderly baby. So while I watched this movie with my bestie, all that kept my hopes up was the prospect of seeing the CGI childification of Brad Pitt. And then they got child actors. I was mad. Well, not this time. Makeup or CGI, I don't care. We simply need this spectacle. The thing with him developing some sort of dementia or something can't stay, it's pretty good and pretty much the only way he can die, aside from, becoming a giant embryo, which we aren't gonna do because, as I said, this isn't a horror movie. And that's the end. Him, giant baby, dying. The end. No Storm or elderly Kate Blanchett to bother us. By the way, if you're thinking, Liv, are people gonna go watch a Nazi movie the way they went to watch The Curious Case of Benjamin Button? To which I tell you, they went to see a dragged out 2-hour and 45 minutes movie. It was never about if the movie is good or bad or X, Y, and Z. As long as we have Brad Pitt plus Kate Blanchett plus Man Who Ages Backwards, we're good. I'm gonna admit that visualizing movies isn't one of my strong suits. If I ever work with someone on a movie, I pity them. But I tried my best, and I think that pretty much anyone can improve on the original in this case. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, blah 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 blah, and I'll make more videos if an evil doesn't fall on my head. Bye!